You're locked in to the Grain Market Talk podcast. Fast updates, market movers, and the grain news you need right now. Trading commodity futures and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors.
Today is August 3rd. I've got Jaden Houselog with me at Professional Ag Marketing here. We help farmers manage marketing risk throughout much of the United States and Canada. And today is a special day because we're going to have a recap of our day one crop tour across the United States, over 2,000-mile road trip where we try to narrow in on yield across the United States at customer fields where we gather their information versus normal and try to put together a little bit of a trend year over year over year. This is my 10th year. I did not go on the crop tour this year for the first time, but I am interviewing Jaden and 4 other folks who are on the crop tour as we speak. So Jaden, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Mike. The crop tour is always the most fun time of the year.
That it is. It's a fantastic trip. So I'm going to have Cade pull up the route here where we travel across the United States, just showing where they've been, kind of where they will be going as well. So yesterday was the first day of the crop tour, and they started there in Sioux Falls and worked their way south. Just tell me about some of your stops yesterday, Jaden, and some of the things that you caught.
Yeah, so we started there in Laverne, where our home base office is, and we worked our way south into Sioux County there, visited a customer there. And from what we picked up on Sioux County, that's where all the high dollar land is, and we can kind of see why. Everything is looking pretty dark green. The only complaint we really had was there was some widespread hail damage from earlier in the summer, so maybe that'll take a little bit off yield. But overall, I'd say samples came in, if not the same, if not better than last year. So I would expect, Sioux County had a record yield last year, and I don't know, see why they couldn't, try for that again this year.
Very much so. Last year, samples showed a little bit better yields than last year in Northwest Iowa there. And I know last year he had a fantastic yield in some of those fields through that area, at least. So I'm going to be very curious to see how we're trending. Been a little bit on the dry side. We missed some rain in that part of the world here over the weekend, last part of last week, where we were really hoping to get some. But we'll see here as the crop finishes up and soybeans really take hold here in the month of August as well. So what about your next stop that you had going into kind of northeast Nebraska?
Yeah, so as we traveled from Sioux County, Iowa, into northeast Nebraska into Cedar County there, as you can see on the drought map, some pretty excess drought there, D3 drought, compared to last year where they kind of had an inch of rain every week. So definitely saw it on the dry land side of things, really showing some stress on some sandy hills. I mean, basically some of the spots, the crop looks completely dead. So we'll take some yield off there, but the samples we pulled weren't awful, but definitely, 10% below last year, I'd say. The farmers we visited with, they definitely did say, the rain they did receive last week did help perk things up, but they will need rain here going forward to get any significant yield bumps here to finish out the summer.
Yeah, you pull up that drought map in northeast Nebraska, just not much you can do about it. I mean, they started off the year pretty dry there, and it's going to be a struggle. They did get some rain over the past week here, though, so it's helping them out a lot. As you worked your way south towards York, what did you come up with?
Yeah, as we got into York County, I'd say, they've received actually above average rainfall so far this growing year, and it definitely showed in the crop conditions. Overall, pretty good looking crop, and samples came in pretty similar to last year, maybe a little below last year. I would expect the southern half of the state is really going to have to do some polling to get this Nebraska state average up to make up for the northeast part of the region. Overall, farmers in that area seem to be pretty optimistic about their crop, and yet they do think they'll need some rainfall to get anywhere near last year for yield wise here going forward.
You ended up just getting into basically eastern Nebraska, kind of western Iowa yesterday there. What are your stops going to look like today, Jaden?
Yeah, so we'll start here in Audubon, Iowa, and we'll make our way east, and we'll make it barely into Illinois there. So We'll travel, Iowa, Illinois, next day Indiana, Ohio, and then we'll travel through the northern part of the states, northern uh, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and then back to home base to Laverne there on Thursday. So it'll be exciting to see what kind of the crops looking like throughout the Corn Belt, and kind of it's always good to see what our customers are thinking, how their crops sitting too.
Always interesting. I'm looking forward to your next couple stops here with customers in Iowa and in Missouri. There, you'll touch into kind of northeast Missouri there too. So, thank you for joining us here today. Please keep us updated. Please keep going on Twitter. But first, I want to hear what you are thinking on a Nebraska state yield.
Yeah, Mike. So after our couple stops here, like I said, northeast part of the state, pretty dry. Southern part of the state, not too bad. So Nebraska tied a record last year at a 194. So we really think that's going to be hard to achieve. So we're going to put them about 9 bushels below last year, around a 185. We think that's appropriate. And if you look over the last 5 years, they've been sticking around in that 180 range. So we think they can achieve that with some adequate moisture here going forward.
It looks hard. A lot of folks still have them above a 190 corn yield. I struggle a little bit to keep them above that. So I'm right with you. A couple of years ago, so last year 194, year before 188, year before that 182. It's hard not to go in that mid 180s. I think at this point at the highest. So it'll be interesting to see how the crop finishes up. It's Nebraska. We got a lot of sand, so when we start to get dry there, obviously it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to keep that thing anywhere near trend or record yield. So thank you for joining us. Please continue to follow along on the Crop Tour on Twitter. Jaden will be updating us daily. We'll have these podcasts coming out as well. Please go to our website. We've got full blog posts that you could follow as well there. So please click the link on the description below. Please click subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next version of the Day 2 Crop Tour. This year's Crop Tour is sponsored by Green Key Ag, a plant nutrition company that takes your fields to their max potential. Please contact Noah at 712-441-5446.